Welcome to Bob vs. Willie. This is the show that pits Bob Gerson against me, Willie Witten. Today, we've got the top 10 Rolling Stones for you. Bob, what do you think about that? Let me know, and then let's get to it.
All right, Willie. Well, to start out, number 10, I've got Beast of Burden from 1990, from Some Girls album. And the thing is, I think this is an important song because it's in a period of transition when the Rolling Stones were almost breaking up, and this is the result, the song.
Okay, I understand the reason. I don't love the pick. My number 10 is Tumbling Dice. I love the oddity of the song. It's off one of their best albums. Number 9, I have Let It Bleed.
Well, I kind of think that Tumbling Dice to me is a forgettable song about an unfaithful gambler. Your number 9 pick for Let It Bleed. Well, the thing I enjoy the most is actually the keyboards by Nicky Hopkins on that. And for my 9, I've got It's Only Rock and Roll. And I think this is a very important song because of the fact that it was the last song that Mick Taylor played on. And it was also a song that Ron Wood played on. And he actually gave away all his rights to it, even though he helped write that lead song, if Mick Jagger would appear on his album. And the last time was actually a hit by the Staple Singers a couple years earlier. It was a public domain song, so they didn't rip it off, but they totally changed it around and turned it into a more of a song singing about a breakup with a girl.
Okay, I didn't know that about the last time. I like that. Those are pretty good picks. Number 8 for me, She's a Rainbow. It's the best song out of Satanic Majesty's Request. Number 7, Under My Thumb. I love the xylophone. Great interlude at the end. Bob, you got anything to match?
Well, I like She's a Rainbow, but it wouldn't be the song that I'd pick off Satanic Majesty's Request. And Under My Thumb, well, I like it, but I like Painted Black better when you come off the Aftermath album. Now, my number 7 pick is Painted Black, and it's the song that I would have picked. And for the Satanic Majesty's Request, I picked 2,000 Light Years from Home. Now, I picked that for a very personal reason. I was in the Army at the time, and I had a friend that had a Firebird with an 8-track recorder, and he had that album. And we used to go and smoke pot sitting in his car, and headquarters of our unit had a nuclear missile sitting in front of it that at Christmas time they would wrap with candy cane wrapping. And I just remember looking at that, and it was pretty surrealistic.
Bob, I hope the statute of limitations is over for that sort of dereliction of duty. I don't love your 2,000 Light Years from Home, but I'll accept it. My number 6 is Can't You Hear Me Knocking. I think that is one of their greatest songs. It's the 4th track off of Sticky Fingers. And also off Sticky Fingers, my number 5 is Sway.
Well, I kind of like Can't You Hear Me Knocking. My favorite part on it, though, is Bobby Keys' sax. As far as Sway goes, I think to myself, where did you get these songs? I mean, I am not really familiar with it. And other than the guitar solo at the end, it really doesn't impress me a whole lot. Number 5 for me was Ruby Tuesday. And the song itself was about Keith Richards losing his girlfriend, Linda Keith, when Jimi Hendrix came to town, and she ended up hanging out with him. And then Jumpin' Jack Flash, I thought kind of is a funny song because it was about Keith Richards' gardener, who had these really stompy boots, rubber boots that he would walk around in. And when Mick Jagger slept over his house one night, he said, "Who's that?" And Keith says, "Oh, that's Jumpin' Jack, my gardener." So they wrote a song about it.
That's awesome. I didn't know that either, Bob. You're dropping some knowledge on me. My number 4, Dead Flowers. Another one off of Sticky Fingers. Of course, the best version in my mind is when Townes Van Zandt redoes that. but the Stones wrote it. It's a beautiful tune. And Bob, there's no need to discuss much more than number 3, Ruby Tuesday. I agree with you on that.
Well, I like Dead Flowers, but it just seems funny you're picking songs where Mick Jagger is doing his country and Western impersonations on. And then Ruby Tuesday, of course, I love that. To me, that's your second best choice, along with She's a Rainbow. For me, my number 3 is Sympathy for the Devil from Beggar's Banquet. And it's like it just played into that dark image of theirs. And also because of the fact that it represents the Altmann Festival, and one of the songs for the Altmann Festival, which basically is considered to have ended the whole 1960s, the idealism of the 1960s anyway. And Gimme Shelter, of course, from Let It Bleed is another song, pretty violent song, just a shot away, bam, and that's it.
I can't argue with those picks. So with your number 2, you have Gimme Shelter. So this is sort of going to blow your mind then. My number 2, you're going to agree with. That's my Sympathy for the Devil slot. Like you said, Altamont is the end. Never a great idea to hire Hell's Angels as your bodyguard. I don't know whose idea that was. Didn't work out well. Number 1 for me, you can't always get what you want. I feel like it's a life lesson. It finishes up the Let It Bleed album. I think it's one of their most beautiful songs. Bob, what do you got for me for number 1?
Well, I can't believe that you didn't include Satisfaction, because that is my number 1 song.
What?
To me, Satisfaction is the most representative song of the Rolling Stones for the whole 1960s. It represented the angst of my generation.
I understand that, but the reason why I don't love that as much, the riff is iconic. There's no doubt about that. If I remember the story correctly, he woke up in the middle of the night with it, put it on a recorder, fell back asleep. But when we look at the verse, I get the angst, but it's just sort of Mick Jagger talking. When you were talking earlier about where am I getting my songs, I think one of the differences that with your and my picks was I went heavy on Sticky Fingers. It's my favorite album of theirs. And I went heavy on some of the more harder blues instrumental, with the exception of She's a Rainbow and Ruby Tuesday, which I think were your 2 favorite picks of mine. Some of your picks were more spread out. You also picked some older songs before they got into that really dirty phase. Why? Is that because of what you remember of them first, or do you think those are their best?
Because I think those were the best. I think, as far as I'm concerned, for me personally, if I didn't have one single Rolling Stones album and you let me go into a store that had every single Rolling Stones album, and you told me that I could pick 10 of their albums, without even thinking, I could just pick the first 10 that they released and I would be totally happy.
Really?
I do not like their later, like Steel Wheels and stuff like that. I just didn't care for that sound.
I agree, but what about what I consider the big 4, Beggar's Banquet, Let It Bleed, Sticky Fingers, Exile? That's where I drew most of my stuff from.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure right now exactly where the 10 ends, but the thing is, it's like I would definitely include those. I would go all the way to probably right around the time that Ron Wood joined the group. It would be, that whole era where you had the 2 best guitar players, or not best, but you had, guitar players that were playing and they were playing more blues oriented stuff. I agree. And that's what I enjoyed more.
Hey, Bob, I got to admit, although we don't always agree, I love some of the knowledge drops today. 2 times you dropped some knowledge on me on songs that I had no idea about. I'd love to keep chatting about the Stones. I feel like you and I could do it forever. But for today, this is all the time we got. Please leave your comments. Go ahead and give us a like. Tell us why we're idiots. We're grown men, sort of. At least Bob is. I'm a child. But I think we can take it. So until next time, he's Bob Gertzen. I'm Willie Witten. This has been Bob versus Willie. Check you later.